we are talking to the co-writer star Sean Crampton and the co-writer producer Jordan Wiseley of the indie action movie The Stalking Fields. It is, I'm going to assume it's out today on VOD. Sean and Jordan will correct me if I'm wrong. Welcome to the Film Threat Livecast, gentlemen. Thanks for being here.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having us.
Hey,
that's awesome. Tell us about your movie, The Stalking Fields. I put the link just so the audience knows we have 650 people watching us live. In the description of this episode, the trailer for the movie is down there. Watch it.
Thank you.
But tell us about the movie.
Yeah, so the movie's, we made a micro-budget action film. We shot principal photography for $95,000. And we're really proud of it. We went and we tried to tell a PTSD story that was more entertaining than the way Hollywood was telling it, because both Jordan and I have military members in our family who aren't after necessarily like the Oscar-winning Shia LaBeouf tearful performance, and God bless Shia and his acting, but you know, most military personnel are like gallows humor and more entertainment focused because they want to switch off. So we looked at this as sort of like a Trojan horse for the conversation to be out in the public to the best of our ability within the budget.
And tell me about like the development of the project, how you got it together. You said micro budget, but there is a lot of action in this, and it kind of shows like what you can do you know, on a smaller budget. How did you handle, for example, the weaponry on set? We have of course, the Alec Baldwin situation. Yeah. He's now been hit with those charges, manslaughter. I think that's probably an appropriate response to that. But having been on, look, I made one indie film where we had scenes with guns, and everyone takes it very seriously. Like when you deal with that, can you talk about how you dealt with the weapons on set and your own experience in doing that?
You know, I think, Sean, you know, you touched on it. It was great. We both have military family. We've both been to the gun range from a very young age. And anyone who has military members in their family, they know gun safety is number one. Gun safety is number one. So we brought that to our set. Very first thing, you know, apart from the email chains leading up in pre-production, as soon as we got on set, massive team meeting for, hey guys, we're doing some things here that are going to be dangerous. Apart from guns, just the stunts, just the running through the forest with equipment, with cameras, actors, you know, running through the forest and with weapons, things like that. So we were very vigilant on the attitude of safety on set.
Yeah, and we actually had a moment early on. Our gunsmith brought real weapons, and he was one of the few hires I didn't have, and me and another producer, Rudy, checked him right out of the room. We were like, what the fuck are you thinking, man? Like, really? And he was a cowboy, you know, so I get his perspective. Yeah, it was our picture, so we literally had him confiscate the real weapons and take him to another city. So we just didn't want any of that liability because it's just not worth it. At the end of the day, as films are my church and I love them dearly, they're still a fucking ha-ha at the end of the day. Like, so let's not kill each other over a movie.
Well, yeah, I wanted to ask, did you use blanks or did you use digital enhancement for the gun effects? Or did you do, like in the Fablemans, just poke holes with a pin in the film? I'm kidding. I thought that was cool. Okay, I like that part of the Fablemans. They're showing a young, supposed to be Spielberg making a war movie, and the simple effects he did to just make it look authentic. It's like, I love that sense of discovery when making an indie movie, because some of the coolest looking effects are just pulled off pretty simply. But how did you pull those effects off?
Well, you know, I feel like Jordan and I made a wise decision hiring Nick Acosta, because he's a VFX supervisor in his profession, but he's a gritty indie filmmaker in his day. And he's truly known for taking $0 and making it look like The Mandalorian. Like, if you go to his Instagram, it's truly incredible. It's unrendered media. He's truly a savant with the stuff. So he had, and his approach, even though he's a VFX guy, is always do it practically first if you can, within safety. So we had real airsoft guns that were like we took the meat out of
No
them so they
CO2.
couldn't fire. Yeah, but they had the same mechanism and weight, which helped. And then everything else was digitally enhanced by Nick. So even the camera shake, he and the camera operator Matt S were just playing with the gunfire. So every time the gun fires, the camera shakes. And then Patrick Sexton, our re-recording mixer, he's one of the best on earth, and we just got lucky to get him. And so his sound effects make those gun plays really come alive.
I mean, I think it definitely enhances a film when you have people with real military experience. So thank you for your service, and thank you for making this film with such attention to detail. We have a questions and
I just want to jump in real quick, Chris,
Sure.
if I may. Jordan and I did not serve.
Oh, okay.
My dad served for the Navy SEALs for almost 30 years. Jordan's grandfather runs a base in Texas, I believe, and he and Jordan are very close. So this was an ode to them and their service.
To our families.
Yeah. I want to be clear to that.
Well, I just anyone who has members of their families in the military. My son is a Marine. My grandfather was in the Navy in World War II. My uncle was in Vietnam. So you have a different way of looking at the world, whether you personally served or you have family who served.
That's
you
right.
look at things a little differently. So I want to go to, if you have time, we'll get to chat comments and questions from our audience. We have a lot of people watching this live, and I'm really happy that they're getting to talk to you guys directly.
Yeah.
My
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
My not so secret agenda. I want filmmakers to talk to fans because, all of us who've made films, we were a fan once, and then
that's right.
You learn, hey, you can actually work in this industry.
Hey, can I ask the first question?
Sure, please.
So I'm sure we have someone out there who wants to make an indie action thriller. Well, what is your encouragement for that person?
It's a great
Number
question.
one.
Yeah. Go for it, Jay.
Write it.
Yeah.
Write it. Like, I mean, the story of this script, to kind of go all the way back to your original question, we originally wrote this script 4 years before it ever got made, before we ever picked it up and had anybody interested in even wanting to do it. And it got put into pre-production because of somebody else, and then they fell out, and we said, you know what, let's do it anyway. And then, to your point, we ended up doing more and more rewrites to accommodate for the budget. Because, I mean, to be honest, our first pass had way more action. If we had $1 million, it'd have way more action. But we didn't have $1 million. So through the number one, write it, and once you have it, put in that effort, so it'll be a way for it to get done. Whether it's cutting into a short and finding more money, or whatever path is for that script, write it first.
Yeah.
But we're losing you a bit here, but let me get to we have comments, a bunch of comments and direct questions for you guys. So let me get to those. Imperfect says guns force you to behave like an adult. Solomon Thornton says, just saw the trailer, sign me up. Any advice on during filmmaking?
Yeah, and just I'll answer the question that was just, and that will probably answer this too. Like I made 4 indie movies, and the best advice, and they're all genre different. The best advice I can give is start at your feet, meaning like, what do you have right now, right here? And we just happen to have military experience. We both cut our teeth on cheesy movies that I love, like Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I laugh when I say that was my inspiration to get an entertainment, but that's the fucking truth. And also, I went to an acting school where I had really gotten into the community. And so I had all these beautiful actors. I met Nick Acosta. I met Rick Maddox. It was all at my feet. I wasn't trying outside of myself. So I was like, what story do I know that we can tell to the best of our ability within our budget? And I also made 100 short films before I made a feature.
Cool. Well, let's more questions and comments here. Ryan Landis said, "Smart move. There's less and less reasons to have real firearms on set." And Sean Z Comic Construct comes in with a super chat for $4.99. Says, "Congratulations on the success of the film. What's the best way for someone to reach out to audition?"
It's a great question. Both Jay and I have Instagrams, and we're pretty active on that. We're not casting things always. So if you just want to reach out, the best advice I can give you for getting help or getting hired in this industry is never ask somebody for something. Ask them for advice, and you'll be giving them the space to help you, because obviously you're asking for advice, so they understand you need help. But if you're like, "Hey, hire me," all of a sudden they're on their back foot. But if you're like, "Hey, how would I get hired?" Now I have the space as you're talking and I'm talking to maybe help you if it aligns. Otherwise, it's forced, and then you start building false foundations. It's really easy to make one movie in this industry, really hard to make two. Jay and I learned that early on. That was advice we got, because everybody fire sales every relationship they have to make one movie. And I'm here for a long time, not a good time.
A super chat here from Jamin D for $20. Also a member of the channel. "Just saw the trailer, really enjoyed the trailer. Just wanted to know about stunts and fights in this movie for a noob like me. If you can let me know how you approach that whole thing. That also relates to how it was shot." So how did you approach stunts?
Number one advice: have athletic people around when you are wanting to do low budget stunts. Most of those stunts, so we did have a stunt coordinator who came on, who was also the armor. He came on and he was good for showing basics, but then at the end of the day, we casted this thing knowing that we were going to be asking a lot of our actors, and everyone was able. So the running and the diving, the rolling, all of that kind of stuff, that was actually done by the actors, to all of their credit. And then to our credit, we again wrote accordingly, wrote for the budget, wrote for what we could afford and we could make happen. We knew we couldn't afford to have stunt doubles getting yanked up 30 foot into trees, hanging upside down. We just don't have that budget. Love to have it, but what we do have the budget for is a wolf trap, right? And we can work with an actor and get her to hit that just right, time it, camera work with the team, boom, let's move it. We hit that. So really proud of the team and all of that.
Yeah, no, it's even crazier. Well, I want to say this for anybody listening. I spent 2 years building an online film school called the Rebel Filmmaking Community, where I call it the Soccer Mom Film School. I take people from development all the way through distribution, so anybody out there can make their film. Check it out if you like. I go through a lot of this stuff. And I even have some students. Can you believe it? But Jordan's being diplomatic as fuck. Our stunt guy, he was going through something in his life. He showed up in Tahoe, but we didn't see him on set for almost 3 weeks. So it was a really weird experience. That final fight you see in the movie, he showed it to us on the one day he showed up, 5 minutes before we filmed it. It was hailing. Yeah. Video Village was sinking. I had just split my nose in the movie. If you notice, I have a cut. That's from a real stunt incident.
That was real, yeah.
So Sierra Barton, our makeup artist, she's the best. She's working some show in New Mexico as the head, and she's like 23 years old. She's truly, truly talented, but she immediately knew what scenes we had left and was like, if your nose isn't broken, we still have a movie. And we wrote it into the story. And the reason I bring this up too is like your confines can't inform the story if you don't let them defeat you. So all of a sudden we didn't have that much action. So we're like, okay, every bullet counts in this movie. And so it was more that movie, like not a spray and pray film, but more like every single shot matters. And so we could even lose some shots. So that's how we approach stunts.
Some other comments here. Gandalf identifies as White Wizard, says, that's micro budget? That looks and feels professional. So
That is the best compliment you could give, and that was our goal. When going into this, that was our goal. Was dude, let's make something that lets everyone know we're here to play. We're serious, and we can take a producer or investor's dollar and get it back to them. Because ultimately, let's not forget what this business is. It's a business. Every single movie is a business unless you're doing a short and you're trying to tell a story. If you're truly trying to make a feature film and go out there and distribute this thing, it's a business. So you need to look at what genre you're going into. You need to look at who your competition is. You need to look at the season you're going to do it in. You need to look at everything and make everything count. Make every single dollar efficient. And investors and producers that are going to end up funding your projects, they want to know, can you get me my dollar back? And we want to prove to them that, yes, we can.
Yeah, you mentioned the wolf trap. As simple as that was, it was a big deal in the movie, in your
So
story.
big. Yeah.
more comments here. Ken Bogus says, I had family in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Solomon Thornton says, I have many family members and friends that are in the Army. So thanks, guys, for doing this film. And Lord Thoth says, yeah, I am a legacy as well from all branches going back to World War I. And Patrick
Wow.
Lemire says, thank you for your service to indie film then. So,
well, it's kind of something weird happened last year, and Jordan knows what I'm about to say, but in April 2022, my dad did kill himself from PTSD.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
And he was actually a big part of this film, in
the
making this film and guiding us. Yeah.
His name's Mark, and my character's name Marcus. The movie was done though. Like it was in the can. So it was like as if we were writing about something that was going to happen. And the reason I'm bringing that up, because one, the military immediately came in and called it a KIA. So no one's going to look at him and know it was a suicide. Navy SEAL numbers are hidden. And I'm not blaming the military. This is the whole reason we're doing this movie, is to have a conversation where we can talk about suicide and PTSD. Because you guys, we're family members of veterans, and there's not a lot of story or material out for us. But I knew we were important when my dad retired, and they spent most of the ceremony thanking the family. And I was like, oh, shit. Because my dad did 13 deployments. And if you guys know anything about 4's a lot. Like, they don't even let you do more than 4 anymore. So it's just important for us to get the message out and to be honest. And yeah. So it's just very kind of interesting when you take the 1,000-yard view of it. Like, I've been writing about PTSD my whole life in some ways.
Lord Thoth says, sorry to hear that. That is awful, the state of veteran affairs and mental illness.
Yeah, it is.
Alan Horkin says, how heavily storyboarded or previs in advance was it?
Woo!
Great question. Well, we had a previs. It didn't work out. It was as if the previs was for like a $5 million budget. There was just some miscommunication. And look, whenever I blame or give light to somebody, it's like, it's never someone's responsibility. I take responsibility as producer with that previs not working. But essentially, I got to give a lot of this feel and look to Nick. Obviously Jordan and I hired him and we get the credit there, but Nick suggested like everything from the plastic, the plastic wrap in the interiors.
The interiors.
He's like, that's a mobile CIA site. But that was so cheap, and Jordan's a construction guy, so he built that in a day, and yeah, so that's my answer.
Sean Z Comic Construct for $9.99 says, thank you for taking the time to answer my question. I will definitely reach out. Film threat for life. And then he goes on to say, I'm sorry for the loss of your father, Sean. Thank you both for your service. He raised a great boy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Ryan Landis says, what kind of cameras did you use for filming?
The Red Dragon. We had one mostly and 2 on occasion, but you find out that 2 is not as, it doesn't help as much as you think, 2 cameras.
No, yeah, just the whole extra team to run it. We also got some of the extra, like some of the auxiliary shots with Black Magic Pocket.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Gandalf identifies as White Wizard, says, what sort of logistical problems did you have while you filmed in the middle of the forest?
Great.
Weather,
One of my
like
favorite.
Gandalf. Oh my gosh.
Like, so the junkyard scene, if you guys remember, there's a scene where we're filming in this car lot. So as it goes, you're chasing the light, right? So we filmed half our coverage, and then for scheduling, we were due 2 days later to flip it and get the rest. Well, there was a motherfucking blizzard in between. So,
Yeah.
dude, it was like crazy, and I got to give Rick Maddox, our director, credit because he really figured it out. But essentially what we had to do, we had to go lower in elevation. We were in Tahoe. But what happens as you go lower, the air quality changes, so the trees get thinner. So all of a sudden, we're having to find a place at elevation that has no snow but isn't too low to match the tree line that we already have, and then go get permission to film on the fucking property. So that was one aspect. The other aspect was G&E was out at the blizzard site in the junkyard shoveling and with hair dryers just
Yeah.
the frame. It took them almost 8 hours, and we used the shot. And if you look at the actual edit, beyond the frame is just whiteout.
Yeah.
So that was one of our biggest contentions with weather.
Another question from Ryan Landis. Did you rent the cameras and other equipment?
It was part of the package when we hired our DP.
Gotcha.
It's pretty typical that dudes will come with their own equipment. You'll pay for it, but they'll usually give you some sort of deal, and you can negotiate because you're also paying their rate.
And that's for new filmmakers, that's something good to look at. Is like look at DPs that have a kit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
You're hiring the person, and the equipment comes with them.
Mm-hmm.
Ease and efficiency is what you're looking for as a independent filmmaker. Efficiency is your best friend.
And even at the highest levels, maybe even especially, that's their stuff. That's their stuff, so they know it.
Right. Just two more comments and questions here, and then we'll let you guys go. CD Stein 69 says, just saw the trailer as well. Love the small spot of the lead character and the woman shooting and his reaction with her waving the gun while talking. As someone that's used firearms for work, thank you. So there you go. And then the nerd far away has a question. What is your take on non-union actors? I think there are a lot of people out there who don't want to take the typical Hollywood route. Is this detrimental, or is this a great time to go for it?
I mean, we have some non-union actors who are in the film, and it's more just like Jordan was alluding to earlier, like it's show business, right? So half of it is the show, the artistry that we all love, and then half of it is business you got to kind of take care of. And the reason I bring that up is you gotta kind of plot your course and plan. I'm in the union, it's benefited me, but I know a lot of people who are non-union who work both sides of the fence. Mm-hmm. So I look at it as like JV versus varsity in a sense. That's not exactly true, but once you're in the union, the people you're auditioning against are a lot stronger typically, because there's a weeding out process like anything. But non-union, anybody, anywhere, anytime. And that's the same with negotiations and rates. So that would be my 2 cents. And Jay?
It's definitely an individual decision. Just like Sean was saying, it's a business. But for you individually, you need to assess, is it worth paying my dues and being out that money? But you're up for some big jobs, so that risk reward is there. And do you feel ready? For myself and for Sean, we have to practice. We must do things. So my advice is get out there and audition. Union or not, audition. Football players go to practice every day. Basketball, baseball, wrestling, tennis, everybody practices every day. So you need to as well. So go audition, get used to walking in there, being cool with everyone. Wipe that desperation off, because you don't need it. You don't care. You're there to have fun. When you're there to have fun, that's when you start making great decisions, great choices. So it's got to be a decision for yourself.
Well, Sean and Jordan, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. The movie is The Stalking Fields.
Yeah.
Make sure you check. It's on VOD now, right?
Mhm.
Right now,
Yes.
right now,
Right now.
right
So get it,
meow.
buy it, rent it, get it. I use a app called Just Watch. Find out exactly where to get it.
Boom.
Thank you so much for being on the show. Congratulations
guys.
again, and thank you for your service to indie film. I'll say
Appreciate
that.
Hey,
you,
thank
boys.
you guys so
Thank
much
you.
for
You
having us
guys are
on.
awesome. I hope to see you again,
Yeah.
guys.
Okay.
The
Thank
questions were great. You fans were amazing.
you. Yeah.
Awesome. Take care, everyone. Later.
Bye.
Bye bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.